Right. Today's focus is going to be on precise writing. Okay, using precise writing in an expository essay. So in this case, when we're talking about precise writing, we are trying to be as concise as possible and straight to the point. Usually for narrative, maybe not so much, but in terms of expository, we want to be as precise as possible because we do not want to beat about the bush. Okay, and then we want our readers to be able to know like what exactly you are writing about. Yeah. So in terms of exposition, I think we've covered things like, topic sentences, thesis statement already. So that is like one of the ways to sort of like guide your readers or give them a direction. Okay. Another way is actually to use precise writing, because if you are precise in terms of your writing, okay, you will not be giving some ambiguous ideas. You want to be very clear with your ideas. Okay. So that's that. Okay, I think there are a few new students here. Okay, actually there's one. Natalie is here on trial, right? Oh, okay, I've got another one. Jian Hao is here. Let me just admit him first. Okay, since we've got new students, I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Okay, Jian Hao and Natalie, yeah? A few things. I know this class, I think it's really important to turn on your video. Okay, actually it's a rule by 88 Tuition. By right, you should be turning on your video. I mean, for me, I think I can understand that sometimes you just want a bit of privacy. Thank you so much, Kit Ming, but I don't see your face over there. Okay, it'll be good if you can appear also instead of showing me the galaxy. But what I've encountered with this class in particular, I think all of you, even though most of you have turned off your video, but when I ask questions, you still answer. So I think that's something that's quite heartening. Okay, although of course I would very much prefer if you can turn on your video. Okay, by right, you should be turning on your video. That's one. You should mute your microphone for a very simple reason, because if everyone were to unmute their microphone, it's going to be very disruptive. There's a lot of background sounds behind, right? Especially when you're at somewhere that's quite noisy. Yeah. So turn on your video, turn off your microphone unless necessary. If let's say you want to answer a question, okay, I will unmute you and then you can speak, or you can unmute yourself actually. Basically, you just need to raise hand. Let me just demonstrate once. Okay, you can click on the reactions button and just raise hand, and you'll be prioritized to the front. So when I see that, I will maybe call your name and then you can answer the questions. Okay? Right? If not, if no one volunteers, then I will ask someone to answer. Yeah? Another thing is if you need to go toilet, I think it's understandable. Okay, you need to answer the nature's call. Just go ahead. Maybe just out of politeness, maybe you just want to type in the chat and just inform me. Okay? Yeah. So that's about it. Basically, generally, I think the rule of thumb is just to be mindful and be respectful to one another. Ultimately, although it's a cyberspace, I think you've also know of like a lot of cyberbullying cases, right? I'm sure in school, when they go through CCE with you, they will talk about cyberbullying and all. Okay, so be mindful and be respectful. That's all I'm asking for. Okay, in terms of video, I know it takes time. Okay, but I very much prefer if you can turn on your video, yeah? Otherwise, when I ask question, make sure you answer, okay? All right, now we're gonna move on to compo. Like I said, today's main thing is about precise writing. Four things you want to take note of. Number one, avoid wordiness. Later on, I'll give you some example. Okay, don't be too wordy. Like I said, don't beat around the bush. You just want to be straight to the point. Some words are redundant. You can omit them. There's no need to include certain words sometimes. Okay, later on, we'll go through some examples. And using concrete words, by concrete words, sometimes we are also referring to like technical jargons, okay? You just want to be very precise. Pay attention to diction, okay? Sometimes certain words just do not come together, okay? Which actually links me to the fourth point actually. You need to use words with appropriate connotation. Certain words just belong together. Okay, so they have to be used together in a sentence or in a phrase. You will Therefore, need to make sure that you're using the appropriate connotations for that. Okay, now let's take a look at some examples. Point number one just now is to avoid wordiness, right? So what do we mean by avoiding wordiness? Okay, so this is point number one, some tips or some keys to precise writing. Okay, so in terms of wordiness, you want to make sure that it's lean and trim, no unnecessary words, okay, because it creates repetition, right? So like, for example, what is wordy and what is concise? Let's take a look at the first example, okay? Like, in my opinion, I feel that the world is a more dangerous place than ever before. So the redundant words I would think would be like, in my opinion, right? Writing that is already quite okay. I mean, if you just have in my opinion, but you also include I feel that. So it's repetitive, right? You don't really have to write, in my opinion, I feel that, da, 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 da. Okay, I know sometimes you just want to increase the word count, but it's not through this method. Okay. So actually you can just be upfront and straightforward about it. The world is more dangerous. It's a more dangerous place than ever before. That already states your point because you're writing the essay, you're the writer. Anything that comes from you, unless you are like quoting someone or maybe providing facts and figures, anything that comes from you, anything that's written by you is understood by the marker that this is your point. This is your thought process. Okay, so there's no need to say, in my opinion, I feel that, da, 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 da. Yeah. Okay, now next one, because of the facts. Okay, you can just say because. Okay, of the fact is quite redundant here. So you can just because he was a loner. Okay, because of the fact that he was a loner, he had no friends. So you can say because he was a loner, he had no friends. Yeah. The annual writing competition is held once a year. Now, the word annual already suggests that it's once a year. Okay, it's understood. So you don't have to repeat once a year. Okay, and then July is also a month. I mean, it's understandable that July is a month of the year, right? So you don't have to write in the month of. Okay, so basically you can actually make it more concise by just writing the annual writing competition is held in July. There's no need, oh, it's held once a year in the month of July. Okay, so same thing for if you're doing summary for your section C comprehension, you can also cut short some of these words when you're paraphrasing. Okay. And then the last one, I was so exasperated at that point in time. Okay. I was so exasperated then. Okay. Don't need at that point in time. All right. Especially so when you're doing summary, you just want to cut as short as possible. But then again, you just have to be mindful in terms of summary, although you are cutting down the word count, you need to make sure the meaning still stays. Yeah. Okay. So you can actually replace at that point in time with just that. I was so exasperated then. Okay. Okay. Now, words that are unnecessary because the meaning is contained in the word it tries to modify. Okay, same thing is under avoid wordiness. There are certain words that you can just cut down. When we say we meet, basically we are coming together and meet, right? So you don't need to say meet together, just meet. Okay, a free gift. If it is a gift to you, of course it's free, right? You don't give a gift and then you say, hey, pay me some money, isn't it? So a gift, you can omit the word free, right? Few already suggests, few is actually a quantifier. It tells you the quantity. So just few. There's no need of few in numbers. Okay. Red is a color. So you don't need to repeat red in color. Okay. It's just red. Yeah. Same thing for square because square is a shape. Screamed as a verb suggests you are like, projecting your voice in a high pitch. So you don't really have to write loudly because it's understood that screaming is a verb that suggests projecting your voice loudly and sharply. Okay, cost $20, same thing, you don't have to include in price. Traveled overseas to many countries. Traveling to countries is already overseas, right? When we say we travel to many countries, of course, we are excluding Singapore. So you don't have to say travel overseas to many countries. The word overseas is actually redundant. Okay? Any questions so far? Later on, I'll ask some questions, so you need to pay attention, okay? Any questions? No, then I'll move on. Okay. So that one is talking about the meaning that's contained in a word that it tries to modify. We're going to move on to some unnecessary prepositions, okay? Prepositions like, for example, you have ate the pie. Okay, there's no need for ate up the pie. Oops, sorry. Okay, climb the stairs. There's no need for climb up. Sit on a chair. Okay, no need sit down on a chair. Finished his dinner. Okay, rose from her chair. Return to the house. Return means you're returning back somewhere, right? So don't need to return back to her house. Fell and scraped her knees. Okay, the number of cases is rising. Can omit the up, yeah? And then her face reflected back. Can just omit the back. Her face reflected in the window. Okay, can? Okay, so this one I think quite straightforward. Unnecessary prepositions, yeah? Okay. Now, sometimes we can also rephrase certain modifiers that begins with in. So in an angry manner is very wordy. You can just change to angrily because when it comes to manner, usually we're referring to like an adverb. Because how do you do something? You did something angrily. Okay, so an adverb tells you a little bit more about the verb. So you basically can replace the entire phrase with just an adverb. Okay, in spite of the fact that can replace it with another conjunction, which is although. Okay, in the event that it rains, so you can just say if it rains. Okay, in general, people are usually kind. I think this is a very common way of starting your expository paragraphs. Some people will say in general. So you can say people are generally kind. Okay, if you want to just shorten it. Okay, some other wordy phrases that I'm going to go through before we move on to the next one. What she said was very general and not detailed. Again, general means it's not detailed, so redundant, yeah? The reason why she does not like is that. So the reason why, you can just say she does not like because, okay? There are some people who believe. So some believe, okay? Lives in close proximity. Lives in proximity to or just lives near. At 2 p.m. in the afternoon, it's understood that 2 p.m. is in the afternoon, okay? At 16. So you don't have to say at the age of 16 years old, okay? At 16, okay? Due to the fact, you can just change to because of, very unnecessary. A lot of times we have the habit of using very, everything also very happy, very sad, very, very, very. So sometimes you can just change or just totally omit it. Okay. Oh, this one is just practice. Okay, let's practice some before we move on to the next one, yeah? So one example would be he bought a shirt, blue in color. So you can rewrite it into he bought a blue shirt. That's all. Okay. Now next one, someone would like to try. If not, I will call someone. Any volunteers first? The number of people who have no place to stay is rising up. Okay, I think this one is missing the dots, probably because of the picture. Anyone would like to try? Okay, let me see. If no volunteers, then I'll have to call upon someone, yeah.